There's a photograph of Princess Leonor, part of an official portrait released by the Spanish royal house, where if you look closely at her left hand, index finger, you'll notice something the palace never explained. A ring. Silver, irregular in shape, unlike anything she'd worn before in any previous official image. Spanish royal press picked up on it almost immediately, and the reporting at the time was refreshingly honest about what nobody actually knew: where the ring came from, who if anyone gave it to her, and why, out of all her fingers, she chose to wear it on the exact one her mother has spent 2 decades making her own. That's a real, documented mystery, one of the few genuine ones in Leonor's public life that hasn't been definitively solved. So let's go through what's actually known, what the most credible theories are, and why this kind of small, ambiguous detail tends to generate far more speculation than it can actually support. Start with the finger itself, because it's not a coincidental detail, it's the whole reason this ring got attention in the first place. Queen Letizia has, for years, worn a gold ring with an irregular circular shape on the index finger of her left hand, a piece made by Karen Hallam, a British artisan who has lived and worked in Spain for more than 3 decades. It's become something close to a signature for the Queen, a piece she's rarely photographed without, reportedly a gift from her daughters purchased with their own allowance money, which is part of why she's never seen taking it off. When Leonor began appearing with her own rings on that same finger, Spanish outlets noted the pattern immediately, because it reads as an inherited habit, a small visual echo of her mother passed down not through instruction but through observation. Before the silver ring that sparked the mystery headlines, Leonor had already worn at least one other piece on that finger, a ring by artisan jewelry maker Iñaki Torres, worn a few months earlier. So this wasn't a first-time appearance of jewelry on her hand. It was a new, unexplained piece appearing where a now familiar habit had already been established. Here's what actually makes the silver ring different from the pieces that came before it, and why it generated the specific kind of coverage it did. Unlike the Torres piece, which had a traceable maker, the silver ring's origin was never identified by any outlet covering the appearance, official or otherwise. No confirmed designer, no confirmed source, no statement from the royal house about where it came from or what it might mean. That absence of information is exactly the kind of vacuum that speculation rushes to fill, and the honest coverage from the time reflected that uncertainty directly, posing the obvious open questions rather than answering them. Was it a gift, and if so from whom, and did it carry sentimental weight the way her mother's ring so visibly does? None of those questions have a confirmed answer as of today. That's not a failure of reporting. It's simply where the trail runs out. It's worth being clear about what this kind of silence does and doesn't tell you, because the instinct with royal coverage is often to read absence of explanation as confirmation of something significant, usually romantic. That instinct isn't unreasonable, but it's worth testing against what's actually happened with other pieces of unexplained jewelry in Leonor's public appearances, because there's a useful, very recent case study. Just this July, a necklace she wore during an institutional visit set off a wave of speculation online, headlines and social posts asking, essentially, is she secretly engaged and we don't know it? The detail that made it spread was the shape, a small heart rendered in white gold. Worn quietly rather than displayed. It has all the ingredients of a story people want to believe. But the actual explanation, once outlets tracked it down, turned out to be entirely institutional. The necklace was an official gift from the Nando and Elsa Peretti Foundation, given to Leonor during a visit to San Martí Vell, a small town in Girona province connected to the foundation's work. Not a suitor. Not a secret fiancé. A foundation gift tied to a documented, calendar-confirmed royal engagement, the kind of thing that happens constantly and rarely makes headlines, until a jewelry silhouette gets read the wrong way by people who weren't looking for the institutional explanation first. That pattern matters for how you should weigh the still unexplained silver ring. It doesn't prove the ring has a boring explanation. Nobody has confirmed that, one way or the other. But it does tell you that the base rate for unexplained royal jewelry turns out to be romantic in origin, is, based on the one comparable case we actually have documentation for, quite low, and the base rate for unexplained royal jewelry turns out to be a gift, a souvenir, or a piece with personal but non-romantic sentimental value, is considerably higher. There's a third real example worth adding here that isn't mysterious at all, just illustrative of how ordinary most of Leonor's jewelry actually is. During a visit to Gran Canaria this past June, Leonor stopped into a craft shop in the town of Turur and personally purchased a ring made of olivine, a green semi-precious stone that forms in volcanic rock native to the Canary Islands, along with a jar of local mojo sauce. The shop employee who served her described the encounter as warm and unremarkable. That ring has a fully known, fully mundane origin. She bought it herself, as a tourist would, because she liked it. Most of what ends up on Leonor's hands, it turns out, has an explanation exactly that simple. So does the silver ring have deeper meaning? Here's the honest answer, laid out without pretending to know more than what's actually documented. It's possible it does. Jewelry passed between family members, close friends, or worn to mark a private personal milestone is a completely normal thing for anyone in their late teens or early 20s to have and to keep private, royal or not. Leonor is not obligated to explain the origin of every object on her body, and the royal house's consistent silence on pieces like this is far more likely to reflect an entirely reasonable boundary around what counts as private versus official, rather than some hidden signal that fans and outlets are meant to decode. It's also entirely possible it's the same category as the olivine ring, something she liked, picked up somewhere, wears because it appeals to her, full stop. Both explanations are equally plausible given what's public. What we can say with more confidence is that the pattern of her wearing pieces on that specific finger appears to be a genuine, low-key homage to a habit she's watched her mother maintain for her entire life, which is a sweeter and more grounded read than any secret admirer theory currently circulating. What this really comes down to is a broader point about how to read royal jewelry coverage generally, because the ring, the necklace, and the olivine purchase together form a small but useful case study. Unexplained pieces generate speculation because the absence of information is uncomfortable and content fills that discomfort quickly, often with the most dramatic available narrative. But when you actually trace the pieces that do get explained, gifts from foundations, purchases made in person at small shops, jewelry habits inherited from a parent, the far more common story is something close to ordinary. That doesn't mean every mystery resolves that way. The silver ring, as of today, remains genuinely unexplained, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. But betting on the least dramatic explanation has, so far, been the better bet every time the follow-up reporting actually arrived. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe for more grounded, sourced coverage of the Spanish royal family, and let us know in the comments what you'd like covered next.